Well, I know it's been about a week since I uploaded a political video, so I figured, hey, let's just try to fit one in real quick before I have to go to bed for work again. Um, I'm not sure what the future of this channel is. Like, I'm talking like it's something big. I know it's not. But I'm feeling I'm not getting anywhere. I feel like I just rant about random stupid shit, political events, and then I upload random things like composing music or me playing video games, and it's just random. Doesn't really have a direction. Not really getting the amount of followers I thought I would. But hey, today we're going to talk about Catalonia's independence vote from Spain. So, in a nutshell, this video says that they are totally in the right to have the vote that they did, and they have the right to secede from Spain if they want. Now, some people immediately jump on me and say, no, it's against Spanish law to break away from Spain. It's like, oh, wow, well, I'm glad you could read. Every country says it's illegal to break away apart from itself. Every country on the face of the planet has that rule. Why would you make that legal? They want to keep the country the way it is. They want to keep their territory and keep the resources and the population. I mean, why would they make that legal? It's just like every single country makes armed revolution illegal. Wow, what a surprise. Didn't see that one coming. But yet there are tons of situations, like in Sudan, for example, or Saudi Arabia, some oppressive, theocratic, repressive regime that if people took up arms against the government, you could totally see why a rational, logical person living in that country would take up arms. In North Korea or Cuba, whatever. I just named off a few off the top of my head. So judging an action based off whether it's legal or not in a certain country doesn't make any sense at all, because a country can make anything illegal. We used to make alcohol illegal in this country. Is drinking alcohol bad? Abusing it is, but just drinking it, a beer a night or a glass of wine at night, or even a little more than that, no big deal. People do it all the fucking time. But yet, in the past, the government has made that a criminal act. You should judge actions based on rational and logic. What is the rational thing to do? Does this action infringe on people's rights? Does this action hurt someone else, an innocent person? You shouldn't base it off of, oh, well, the government says illegal, so I'm just not going to do it. So yes, of course, Spain thinks that this vote is against democracy and outside the law. Why wouldn't it? Catalonia is one of its biggest ports. It would lose a lot of territory, a lot of resources. It would lose one of its biggest ports. You could totally see why, in Spain's eyes, it's rational and logical to keep Catalonia. But again, people should be able to associate with other people the way they want. They should be able. Every single country on the face of the earth is artificial. It was made up by someone else. It's not inherent like the law of gravity, where it just fucking exists, and we didn't make it, and we had nothing to do with it. Every single country is artificial. It's based off of government and culture and wars that were fought in the past, or past empires, whatever. So to think that the current layout of the country is the way it is that that's the way it always should be, because it's been that way, for your short lifespan in human history, it's always been this way. Spain's always been the way it is. Then that's the way it should be, so they shouldn't break away. Well, Spain was artificially created, and so was France, and so was Britain, and so was every single country on the face of the planet. So to think that it should be permanent because that's just the way you remember it, that's limiting your opinion based on your limited worldview, which is only a sliver of the human history. If Catalonia feels that they are being oppressed by Spain in some way, or they're being treated unfairly, or they're not thriving, or their culture is being trampled on, whatever, all different grievances that they have. The taxes are too high, they're paying too much taxes and not getting enough back, whatever the situation is. They should have the right to say, no, we do not want to associate with Spain as just a semi-independent, what's the legal term? Semi-independent region. They're still part of Spain, but they have a lot of autonomy. We don't want to associate with Spain that way. We want to be an own separate country. Then you should respect that right and let them go ahead and do it. Critics of Catalonia's independent vote will say, well, foreign interests are pushing for this vote. They're influencing the election. Or where have we heard that one before? Again, since when are other governments not allowed to influence this election? There are a lot of foreign powers that are pushing for Catalonia to stay in Spain, mostly the European Union, because if Catalonia breaks away, there's lots of other countries in the European Union that little provinces and regions and semi-autonomous regions want to break away too. So the European Union is pushing for Catalonia not to break away. They want them to stay in Spain. There are other outside interests that want Catalonia to break away for their own benefit. I mean, any single action that any country does on any big scale, they're going to be, everyone else is going to look at it and say, okay, what benefits me the most? This one. Okay, I'm going to support this. This is nothing new. This is not hacking the election. This does not taint the grievances that the Catalonians have. It flat out doesn't. If you want to invalidate an independence movement or a democratic vote or anything like that by saying, oh, there's outside interests that are influencing it, therefore null and void, nope, it's bad, we can't do it, well, then nothing would ever happen. We would never have a presidential election because there are outside powers that are trying to influence one way or another. We would not have a national referendum like Brexit. We would never have that. Catalonia would never nothing would ever happen because political actions do not happen in a void. They just can't. We live in such an internationalized world where you can transmit data across the whole planet in seconds. To think that you could honestly have, like an election, for example, have no outside influences on either for or against whatever election, whatever vote you're having, to think you could do that in 2017 is just so fucking retarded. And to think it somehow invalidates your movement, or the independence movement, or the democratic vote they're trying to have, is also completely retarded. Let's take, for example, let's make up a situation here. Cuba. We don't have very good relations with them. Let's say some Cubans get together and say, yo, the government oppresses the living hell out of us, takes away our rights, makes us impoverished living conditions. They don't respect our rights. They kidnap us dead at night, torture us, they kill us, they rape us, they beat us up. Just all these things. All of these things that would make a rational, logical person say, let's take up guns against the Cuban government. So let's say some Cubans actually started doing that. Now the U.S. would naturally look at that and say, well, we don't like Cuba that much. We have relations with them right now, but they're kind of like not so good. We would really rather the dictatorship get kicked out and new government get in. So guess what? The U.S. is going to support those rebels. And now supporters of Cuba, mostly like Russia, for example, China, other nations that would support Cuba against the United States, other communist nations like China, for example, would sit there and say, hey, look, the U.S. is trying to influence this civil war. That means the rebels are bad. No, they can't do it. No, they're wrong. They're being tainted by outside foreign influences. Their claims are not valid. Anything they say about oppression and the government taking away their rights and killing, that's all just U.S. propaganda. It's all BS. Just nope, none of it. None of it. You see how easily. And then the Cubans are just sitting here thinking, I don't fucking care what the U.S. is doing. This government agent is trying to kill me, to kidnap my kids, whatever. I'm going to fight back. A rational, logical thing to do. The outside foreign influences, U.S. foreign influence, does nothing to invalidate my legitimate grievances against the Cuban government. That's the same way the Catalonians are looking at this. They're looking at, let's say Russia, for example, is trying to push for their independence because they want to see a weaker country in the European Union, for example. They want to see other provinces break away in the European Union to weaken their rival, because Russia is constantly in a rivalry with the European Union when it comes to trade and military power, look at Ukraine, whatever. So Catalonia completely know this. Like, no one's fucking retarded. All the information is everywhere. You can go to Russia Today and look up what the Russian government how they look on the situation. And they're thinking here, okay, yeah, Russia probably doesn't have our best interests at heart. They're fucking assholes. They don't give a shit about us. But they're supporting us right now because they seek to benefit from it. And they're sitting here saying, well, I don't give a shit. That is nothing to take away the legitimate, rational, logical grievances I have against the Spanish government. So I'm going to keep on fighting. I'm going to keep on fighting for independence. I'm going to keep on fighting for this referendum, which they overwhelmingly voted to leave Spain. I want to fight for this and actually get this pushed into action. And I actually want this to happen. Who gives a shit what some other fucking foreign countries, hundreds of miles away, if not thousands, I don't think it's thousands, I think hundreds miles away, who gives a fucking shit what they think? That's them. I'm talking about me and the Spanish government. That's all. That's all I'm talking about. I don't care who's influencing. European Union, go ahead and support Spain. I can see their interest in wanting to keep the cohesiveness of European states. Because if we break away, then lots of other provinces in the European Union say, hey, why don't we do the same thing? So I can see why the European Union is supporting Spain. I can see why Russia is supporting us. I don't care. I am not getting, I do not feel represented. I feel like I'm being oppressed by the Spanish government, whatever grievances they have. And they pushed for a vote that was done free and fair. The only interference with the votes was that Spanish police kept on beating people up. So any interference with the votes was in favor of Spain against Catalonia. Catalonia didn't send in armed thugs to go beat up people to vote in favor of Catalonia independence. No, it was the other way around. The Spanish police were the one beating up old ladies and breaking in where ballots were being counted and stuff like that. You know, so it's just like the Spanish king is absolutely wrong when he said the independence vote is outside democracy, because this is democracy in action. These are a group of people. They have a grievance. They put up a free and fair election to say, do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? People vote free and fair. They vote to leave Spain. This is the will of the Catalonian people. This is what they want by an overwhelming majority. It wasn't even close. The election results weren't even close. Every people has the right to their own self-determination, to see how they are governed and how they interact with other countries. Same thing with South Sudan. I don't remember a whole big deal about saying that the separation of Sudan from North Sudan and South Sudan was bad, because everyone could see how crappy the Sudanese government was and how they oppressed the living hell out of the people in southern part of the country. So you could totally see why they wanted to start their own fucking country. I mean, it's just... But that was against Sudanese law. So why didn't you say that it was bad? It was against the law. Therefore, you can't support the South Sudanese independence. I mean, just, you see how retarded the argument is?